Scott Poston to lead us in a prayer, and we'll follow that with the pledge to the flag.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you, Lord, for this day and the many blessings that you've given us tonight. Father, we just pray that you would be with this meeting today. It's all that is done is pleasing you. Father, we pray that you'll be with our first responders, Father, and the police, the sheriff's department. Keep them safe, Father. All these things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we got some guests with us this morning. We're glad to have y'all here with us today. Just want to say hi. We'll move right along into public comment. I don't know that we're not seeing anyone. We'll move along into regular business. Gentlemen, you had the opportunity to review the minutes of the November 19th regular fiscal court meeting. I just need a motion and a second to approve those.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion by Myron, second by Nate.
Myron Thurman.
Yes.
Nathaniel Downey.
Yes.
Marty Chandler.
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Mason Vaughn.
Yes. Next, gentlemen, at our last meeting, we discussed the jail contract for the score instructor, and I think everything was good. There was a little conversation about how the would be paid, and then there was conversation about that the fiscal court would authorize to renew it on an annual basis. And also it had the jailer's signature spot on it, and the jailer can't really sign for the fiscal court to do anything. So I just handed you out, we just got them yesterday afternoon, kind of revisions. The only thing that's, everything about that contract is the same except for it states how the jail will refund the fiscal court on the payment of it, and it stipulates that we'll look at this and renew it annually every fiscal year. And jailer, you've looked at it, you're good, everything's good.
Just for clarification, you all approved the previous contract, and so this would be, I prefer the term style, but an amended contract as opposed to a revised. The revision means you changed it before you approved it. You approved it, so this is an amended contract.
Okay, so we would just need a motion to approve this amended contract and authorize the judge to sign it.
Motion moved.
Motion by Nate.
Second.
Second by Myron.
Nathaniel Downey.
Yes.
Myron Thurman.
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Marty Chandler.
Yes.
Mason Vaughn.
Yes. All right, next item on the agenda is resolution number 2019-1203. It's community action resolution and interlocal agreement. This was some discussion that we had about signing on to help with that, and I'm going to let the attorney talk about that situation.
Thank you. Basically, I'm sure as y'all recall, last meeting there was some in-depth discussion about trying to get things squared away regarding a proposed interlocal agreement to help out funding shortfalls. And so what's going on, trying to make sure that everybody's protected and all 10 counties in the district would have to approve and go along with it, and break down each county's contribution would be done by population. And you can see there's proposed documents that were sent to me. I think it was making the rounds. Amy Milliken up in Bowling Green had it sent to me, originals. And so the proposed interlocal agreement has a breakdown on page 3 about the proportionate share. Simpson County's proportionate share would be 6% compared to Allen County's 7%, Barron County's 14%, and certainly Warren County's 43%. Others as I said, we're kind of like the fifth one of the percentages down number 5. So it's not like we'd be carrying more than our proportionate share of the load. There are 2 documents here. The first is a resolution basically authorizing us to approve and enter into this interlocal agreement. And then the second one is approving the actual interlocal agreement itself. I would ask that, my understanding is last time you all were interested in doing this, and so to affect it, to formally affect what your all's position was, need a motion to pass the resolution, authorize the county judge to sign it, and also a separate motion to approve entering in proposed interlocal agreement and authorizing the county judge executive to sign that as well. I've got the originals, all the fancy little flags on where he's supposed to sign, Pam's supposed to sign, and a notary's supposed to sign. So it appears to be what we discussed, and so that's what we've got here. If that's what your all's desires are, then we need a motion, 2 separate motions, one to approve the resolution, have the judge sign it, and second to approve the agreement and have the judge sign it.
Gentlemen, do y'all have any questions about, I mean, if y'all recall, we discussed this in pretty good detail at the last meeting.
Have you heard if the other counties, all the other counties, have they had their meetings to decide on this yet, or what?
I can't say that I know for a fact they have all had a meeting and all have agreed to pass this. I know that several of them have, but I can't say that all the other 9 have. I don't know that for a fact. But I also know that if any of the 10 counties decide not to participate, we would no longer be obligated, because it would, is that the case, Counselor?
Yes, sir. We're only going to be obligated for our 6%. And obviously, if I had to make I'm like a judge, Myron, I don't know for sure, but if I had to hazard a guess, we've got 10 governmental bodies involved. I imagine they're having meetings, some before us, some same as us, and some after us. And so it's not like all the clocks are going to chime at once.
And not only that, the consensus I get as the group email goes around about each county that we've had our meeting and we're good, I mean, the consensus is that everyone's on board to try to help get this situation resolved.
I'll make the motion.
So you make the motion to approve resolution number 2019-12-03?
Yes.
All right. And authorize the judge to sign. We need a second for that motion on the resolution. Second by Scott.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Myron Herman,
No.
Mason Barnes,
Yes. All right. Then we need then a motion to approve the interlocal cooperation agreement and authorize the judge to sign.
I'll make that one, too.
Marty made the motion, Scott seconded again.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Scott Poston, Myron Herman,
No.
Downing,
Yes.
Mason Barnes,
Yes. All right, next on the agenda is a resolution and an 80-20 bridge agreement with the Kentucky Transportation regarding the Macedonia Road project. And this is, Bobby, if I'm understanding this correctly, this is money that would be, it's not grant money per se, but it would cover, it's reimbursement money.
Yes. Because we have that project in our budget.
Right, and we got the project in the budget. The project is expected to be in the $100,000 range, and this would be Is that right? Is it
130 that we have.
130,000?
And this is reimbursed
80,000?
not 80%, but 80,000.
80, that's what I was thinking. It reimbursed 80% of the money that'll be spent on the Macedonia Bridge project.
Not 80%, up to 80,000.
80,000.
Up to 80,000, yes.
Because do they consider that 80/20 $100,000 project?
Yeah.
Okay, so if your project's above that, they don't.
Yeah, anything above that, we're responsible for. But yeah, it's 80% up to $80,000.
Right. If you turn off at 10:08, it's about 3/4 of a mile down Macedonia Road. Because it says .7
I
and.
think it's right before you get to Turner Ford Road.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just trying to get an idea exactly where it was.
It's where that dry creek is.
Are you putting in a box culvert or?
No, actually, I had some estimates done early, and it was cheaper to put in they call a slab bridge, which actually has the concrete pier side over it.
Oh, okay.
They'll just give us more volume area that it has an old diameter, 8-foot diameter tile on it now.
Okay. I didn't worry about those piers because they didn't work too well down at Southern Ford. Of course, it's a lot
It'll all be
different.
over.
Oh, okay.
It'll be one stain.
Okay, once a minute, all right.
So moved.
All right, so
Second.
Byron's made the motion, Marty seconded to approve this 80/20 resolution with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet.
Myron Herman,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Mason Barnes,
Yes. Next on the agenda is to review and approve the treasurer and finance officer bonds. We have to get a bond for each of these in their new role. Can these be done jointly, Counselor, or will they need to be done individually?
Safe, let's just do it
Okay.
one at a time.
So what I need then is a motion to approve the bond for finance officer Michelle Henderson.
Motion moved.
I have a question on that.
Okay.
Is the 50,000 enough?
It's for the tax administrator, that's just what we've always had and what's been recommended by the auditor.
Okay,
So,
all right. That's fine, I just didn't know if that was enough or not.
Good question.
You got a second?
I've got a motion. Scott, second? Okay.
what's Downey and Poston,
Is Downey and Poston, yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Myron Herman.
Yes.
Mason Barnes,
Yes. And likewise, I need a motion and a second to authorize the issuing of the bond for County Treasurer Nicole Law.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Myron, second by Marty.
Myron Herman,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Mason Barnes,
Yes. Next, gentlemen, we need to approve the purchase and use of the Dropbox portal service. Of course, we've got it now. The service that we were using ended, and there was going to be a cost tied to that. I think the cost of this, was it $11 or $12 per month, Nicole?
This is $11.99 a month and does not require annual commitment.
Yeah, it's just
So
11.
anytime we want to get rid of it, we can.
And prior to the free trial that we had, we were paying how much per
Well, we
year?
weren't paying anything. If we were able to do all the documents and get the documents as we wanted, it was a little, it's a little more difficult than the Dropbox, but we were able to make it work. But it changed 2 meetings ago where we weren't able to get the documents on there as we had, which would require us to go into payment every month, and that's actually $12.99 a month. So, and it does require an annual commitment for the other one.
For the other one.
Yeah, and prior to even the Adobe, when we were doing the, forget the name of it, but we were doing it through our Konica Minolta, they had that service. And, we were actually paying an annual fee of that, and I believe
That's what I was getting at. I was thinking you told me the one prior to that was like $600 or $700 a year fee. So either way, we're at the end of a free service, so either way, we've got to pay for a service. I think the Dropbox service, Nicole says, is easier for her and the ladies in the office. And I actually like the way it operates here on the tablet, so.
It's basically $60 a month, or is it $12.99?
$11.99 a month. I mean, you're talking
For
about
all five, per computer for all five?
just for the service.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
Just $11.99 a month to have the service.
So moved.
Second.
Marty and Nate. Marty made the motion, Nate seconded.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Nathaniel Gamble,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. And I can tell you, we would spend more than $12 a month making paper copies if we went back to paper copies.
No, stick if you
All right, next, and Bobby, we may ask you to come up if we have questions, but next is to review and approve the Public Works Equipment Purchase Proposal. I think we discussed this a little bit at the last meeting. If there's any questions, I mean, we can talk about that, but basically, Bobby's asking to purchase some tractors at the state price, and then when they come, we'll sell off the tractors we have, and that money will just.
Good.
Some options there.
Yeah.
Could you just tell us again about the transfer of the monies? How it's,
Are you talking about where we're gonna pull the money from?
Yeah.
Or how we originally get the money started?
well, just where the money's coming from to pay for the tractors?
Well, I gave, on the second page, there are three options, which number 3 is my suggestion. Right now, we have enough money free in the budget. There'd be 80 some odd thousand out of the asphalt budget, some out of the equipment, some out of personnel, which all that money's free and not designated for anything right now. And that also would require 120,000 out of surplus, which we had 320, I think it was, we said the other day. So, and then you see the estimate on the value that we've had 2 people give us on the year. So we would recover, the biggest part of that money would be recovered to be to put back in the surplus, probably be next year's budget. You had mentioned earlier about where the money comes from, you'd asked me about that. Just, I'm sure all you guys know, but so everybody would know that the Public Works budget or money, all their revenue comes from the state. There's 3 or 4 sources from the state. And all of that is designated for the roads. So that's why our budget is separate from the general budget. The LGEA money, some of that can be drawn out and used for general budget, which y'all have done some this year. I think it was 160 or 70,000 total amount there. But other than that, and just a few, the solid waste franchise, a few things like that come in the budget, but 90% of it comes out of the state funded, and it has to stay in that department. So that's where those surpluses are, as we've, over the years, we've tried to build that up as much as we can. That would be my suggestion. I mean, I feel comfortable transferring that money within the budget, and I think we'll probably get 80% of that back, at least, I think, when we sell these tractors, so we can cover that. So
That's the only, I was gonna say, that's the only area I see the numbers could be off a little bit, because we either got a bid on or auction on it. So these, that's what they say they should bring, but there's no guarantee.
No. The only thing is, and the first dealer there, who was a used dealer, he came and gave me a price. He actually said that, he said, I will write you a check for this amount.
Okay.
So we could get that 87.
But he told me, he said, I'll write you a check for that amount. That is, conditions stay the same as they are.
Yeah.
I mean,
But we
honestly,
still
I
have
wouldn't.
to
Do
so
what?
when they get more.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I wasn't planning on doing this, but with the track record we've had for this equipment, I'm afraid we're just gonna dig a deeper hole the more we go, so.
Yeah. Is there any other questions? So then I just need a motion to approve this purchase proposal for the road department. tractors.
Purchase from a state contract.
From the state, option number 3.
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
So Myron's made a motion to pursue option number 3, and Nate seconded the motion.
Myron Brown,
Yes.
Nathaniel Jones,
Yes.
Carter Taylor,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Megan Morgan,
Yes. All right, next, gentlemen, I said that we would take this back up at our December 3rd meeting. We had, not the last meeting, but the one prior to that, we had a lengthy discussion about the Health Department taxing district. Did all of y'all get one of these sheets again this morning?
Yeah.
Got this sheet, which Ryan Wigginton, the finance officer at the Health Department, had brought this. So I had Nicole look at and check all of this out, and under these scenarios, Nicole says this is exactly what would happen. Again, I'll reiterate a couple of things here before I move into this. Number one, the question comes, what would happen locally if it is a separate line with the taxing district? Well, number one thing, and we also have Matt Hunt with us here, the director of the region, and he can tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I think I'm correct. The local board cannot even hold a meeting if the county judge cannot attend, because the county judge has to attend that meeting and preside over that meeting. Is that?
But the district office, so where the decisions are made for each of the 8 counties, the judge
At the
has to
local,
be there.
on the local board.
Local board, the chair of all of the, except for one, are the judge executives.
Yes, right. So I can only say this. I will never, as the county judge presiding over a local health department board meeting, I will never advocate that we increase the tax on the local level. I think the chances of that happening at any county on a local level is almost non-existent. I think any change in the rate will absolutely either come from the region, but most likely from the state is where we're at. I'm just saying that to say this. You're not creating something that all of a sudden is going to start stacking money on top of money on the local level. There will be no change in that local. What happens regionally and at the state is completely out of our hands, whether we create this district or whether we don't. It doesn't matter what we choose to do in regards to having a local taxing district. The state or the region can make a change to it, and it is completely out of our hands. So my suggestion and what I intend to do is I will make a motion that we pass resolution number 21019-12-03 health to implement the taxing district according to the terms of this resolution. If there's any discussion, we can have that discussion. If not, I just need a second to that motion.
The local tax district, if they become a district, they do have the ability to raise the tax.
They would have the ability.
They do have that ability, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the board that you made.
Yeah, it's the county judge and one magistrate will always be on that board, and the county judge will always preside over that board and that meeting.
Right. But with the county judge and the magistrate on there, that only yields one vote. It's just one vote. So I guess my point is they do have the ability to raise the tax. and it's got a cap on it.
The ability to do so is there. The likelihood that it would happen is almost none, but you are correct that there is a cap to what it can be.
I'm just
Yeah.
throwing that out so
Yeah.
everybody understands that they do have that ability.
Yeah, typically, what happens is the counties follow suit what the district does, and so you'll see most of the counties in Grand River District, they're in line with each other. The taxing districts that we do have, we got 4 of those, they're 2.25 or 2.3 or 2.5, so they're all close. It's not like one would be an astronomical rate of 8-9%, with the other would be smaller. But so typically, they follow suit, and they're all not the same.
And the purpose here is if we don't do anything and the state makes these increases like they're talking about to equalize that 4.7% across the state, the numbers that you're seeing here, if we went from 2.25 to 4.25, we are well over $300,000 that we would just have to pull out of the,
I updated these real quick to the state average to show that 4.7.
Okay.
Since we did get, since our last meeting, the state has come out with their new figures of what the state average is for public health tax. It's 4.75. So that very last column is the only change where it,
So if it,
instead of 4.25,
right, if
what it was.
right, so if it made it, if the state did change it to that, then the picture's even worse. But the point being that if we see in the neighborhood of a 2-cent increase, we'll have to figure out how to cut well over $300,000 out of the county budget if we leave this alone. To me, I think that that's a dangerous thing to do, given that we're obligated with the financial well-being of the county.
In the Brad district, did you say there was 5 counties not in the 4 counties? Do you have any idea, including us? Any idea, or what are they, the other 3?
I can tell you, Scott, that all of the county judges in the other 3 counties would like to see this happen in their county.
We have a fiscal court meeting next, it's December 10th in Metcalf County, just like this one, to discuss it. Their local board approved it 2 weeks ago, to have this very same discussion, and then we're in January on our books for Barron County.
They're going to be behind though, because if they don't have it done by January 1, it won't help them for 2020.
We'll just lose the automotive.
Okay.
So we won't get the full year.
I got you.
Of the automotive won't take effect for the next year, but as long as it's done for them, as long as it's done before tax bills go out in October, at least the property tax will still come from there. And he's aware. We tried to be on their December docket, but it didn't work out.
So we could wait and see what the new governor's gonna do. And if it did, all you would lose is automotive.
Good, yeah, but
Okay.
that's one thing that has also changed since last time we discussed. We do have a new governor, and I think the likeliness of the state making a change would decrease probably for increases in taxes.
Is there any language out here about fiscal courts controlling this rate? Fiscal courts actually voting on the tax rate?
Yeah, so I don't know if you all had a chance to watch KT last week, but Jim was on there, Mr. Jim Anderson. So KCO, you all probably heard this at the conference, KCO is putting forth a bill, or supporting a bill, as well as the Tucker League of Cities for fiscal court to have control over taxing districts. And so again, that would rest among you all at that point if that does get passed.
Currently no, but there could be a change in that.
So at the end of the day, if you got the taxing district, you'd still, now, the judge and the magistrate sits on the local board. But if what KCO and the Kentucky League of Cities is putting forward, you all would have to control the taxing district at that point too. And so,
The biggest point here is the two main ways, actually the main way through the state that this rate could change is we have absolutely no control over, and it wouldn't matter if the legislature gave fiscal courts the ability to oversee the taxing districts as a whole, we still would have no control over what the state could and probably will do to it.
That's required minimum. You're
Right, and if they make a change there, it doesn't matter. We're obligated to it. And the point being that, you know, let's wait and see. Well, if we wait and see, we're still going to lose out somewhere. And if nothing happens, then that's exactly the case. Then nothing will happen other than you would have two lines on a tax bill that total the same thing that one line currently totals.
Other than that, taxing district has the ability, not say that they will, but they have the ability to raise tax.
And all of our other counties that have a taxing district, they pretty much follow the lead of the judge
Yeah.
in that.
I think that's wise, but, you know.
Yeah, and you see the state average is 4.75 and Bering River is at 2.25. And if we were a district that was very supportive of increasing taxes significantly, we'd be a little bit closer to that state average. Instead of being 2.25, the state average is 4.75.
I thank you for that.
And so I think that's a testament of trying to keep the taxes low, to eliminate expenses. It can't be one side. When you're running any type of business, you can't just focus on revenue. You just can't focus on expenses. It has to be a balanced approach. And as a result, as I said at the last meeting, we eliminated 41 jobs to pay our bills and not to come to our fiscal courts asking for more money, and to plan accordingly and get ready for the increase in retirement contribution. We know next year it's 93%.
In the last time we were here, for sure.
But it will be 93%. That's nice. So, but to answer your question, Scott, the other three judges in the Bering River region would absolutely like to see this happen for the same reason that I'm talking about, is if the state decides to pursue this in a heavy manner, it's going to eat us. And
That could happen either way. I mean,
well, here's the deal. There's no good scenario to it, really. If the state makes an increase, there's no good scenario. Either it's going to cost the taxpayer a little more money on their tax bill, or we're going to take what would amount to a pretty sizable hit in the general fund, and we would have to figure out how we're going to accommodate that hit.
Have you all seen the public health tax figures for the entire state? I've got those, pass those out, you want to see those?
Sure.
So you see, some of the other counties that are close by, like Allen County, they're 5.5%, we're at 2.25. As you'll see, as far as being
they have their own
considered,
taxing district too, huh?
Well, but they're not a part of the Bering River region either.
They're
They're not a part of the regional health department either.
You'll see those rates, we're at the bottom, we're in the 2.25 range. You'll see they even go up some counties at 10%. I've never advocated for that, we're paying bills to make it work.
Do you want to come up and speak at the microphone? The guy back there filming is pointing to have you up here.
I apologize about that. So what you have before you is the summary of the public health taxing districts across the state of Kentucky. And so you will see that Bering River is at 2.25 for the bulk of our counties. We've got 4 that are CH31s. That means that it comes from your general fund. You will see there are only 6 in the entire state that pull from the general fund, because that drains your resources to do things in your community if you do not have that taxing district. You'll see some of the bordering counties or counties in the Bering River District, not part of the Health Department District, but part of the Bering River Area Development District. Allen County is at 5.5%. Monroe County is also, nearby, and they're in the Bering River Area Development District. They're at 4%. So you'll see that again, not taking anything away from those people. I think they do a wonderful job. But when you're able to pull your resources together through a district, you can keep that tax rate a little bit lower.
See, Monroe and Allen are the two counties in the Brad that are not part of the Barren River Regional Health Department.
Yeah, you're correct, Judge. And so when you pull your resources together, you can keep that tax rate lower, just economies of scale, right? You have more money to work with. Again, there are only 6 in the entire state without a taxing district, and one of those really doesn't count as Jefferson. They're a metro health department. But you'll see the other ones, that Nelson County, Barron County, Hart County, Metcalfe, Simpson, and Trigg County are the only ones without taxing districts. Again, it's never been our intent to just look at one side and look at the revenue. We've got to look at the expense side to be good stewards for funding. I think by looking at these tax rates, I think that's evident. Otherwise, our tax rate would be much higher. It's one of the lowest in the state. Wage per hour, again, this is nothing to brag about, but our payroll per hour is about $4 less an hour than the state average across the state for health department employees. Again, it's nothing to brag about. We don't want to say that we've got the lowest paid public health employees in the state, but again, I think it goes back to the frugality through the years of
I agree. That's probably something you need to lead with.
And the other thing, quite honestly, is you've only have, 7 counties in the entire state?
6.
6 that do not have the
7 if you count the metro.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a reason the other 114 counties have already done this. And Matt, you may or Ryan may better answer this question. I think a lot of the counties, when they separated the tax lines, they kept their general fund tax rate at the level it currently was and just added the health department rate. I'm suggesting that we decrease our tax rate to what it would be if we pulled the health department tax out of it.
Edmonson County was the most recent taxing district in the entire state, and they just happened to be in our health department district. What did they do, Ryan?
They didn't decrease their general.
They left their general fund tax rate at the same and just added the.
Their financial situation was a little tighter.
Yeah. And I think that was the case with practically every county. They done that. My suggestion in this resolution is we'll bring a decrease. So when your 2020 tax bill, we will come down to whatever we would be less than 2.25, which currently would be 8.05. If they were separated today, our tax rate would, for general fund purposes, would essentially decrease from 10.3 to 8.05.
Essentially, it adds transparency to your taxpayers.
Yeah.
It shows, so general fund and have all these things it pays for, you've got your line items.
Yeah.
Which they pay absolutely no attention to, the majority.
But even if they just pay attention to the bottom line, it's not going to change.
But
unless
the state does
something out of our control changes it for us.
Right.
yeah, and then we get the blame for it. But if it takes, if a compensating rate like this year, it went backwards from 10.5 to 10.3. Okay, if it goes up, if say the compensating rate next year went back up to 10.5. And so that's an increase there. Even if it's divided out, if you get an increase of compensating rate and this board gets, and the court gets an increase of compensating rate.
The health district doesn't get the like with the library, where you're on the library board and the extension office, they get those papers from the state that says, okay, here's where you were at, here's your compensating, here's the 4%. The health departments do not get that.
We get 2.25% of whatever your local PPA.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, even the health departments with the taxing district, because the way the state has that set up, it just has a cap, and there's no limit as to what it can increase. I mean, it could be anywhere from where it's at today to that cap, period. So it's just set by the state or the regional board or whatever, it's not subject to the same or the computing that, what DLG, Nicole, is it DLG that sends us down those computations that says, here's where we're at here? No, so like, and I don't know how this would work either, Marty, but to your point, like where we're at currently at the 10.3. And let's say, so next year when we get, now I don't know how that would work if we say we're going to decrease our rate to 8.05. The DLG may not have that incorporated into their database, however that would work. But let's say we get it next year and they say, okay, the compensating rate is the 10.3 that we're currently at. Then at that point, what we do is we take that 10.3 and say we want to establish the rate at 8.05. Now, unless they plug in the 8.05 and then they send us a compensating rate and say, well, you'd be at 8.1, you know, then you'd say, okay, we're going to take the compensating rate at 8.1. But to my understanding, my knowledge, and Ryan, you correct this if I'm wrong, I don't think the health department districts get that computation from the DLG the way that other taxing districts get it.
The way I understand it is, you know, before the PDA sends their bills out, they say if you have a taxing district, they say what's the rate going to be, and so we'll give them a copy of our board minutes or whatever, where to approve those minutes, and then as far as how the PDA gets your budget and stuff, I'm not sure how that calculates. And honestly, I don't know that many people would, because not too many counties were in the situation where they decided to decrease their county tax when they implemented
I think there's been a handful that have done that.
When y'all did your extension, you decreased your general.
I think you probably did.
That's exactly. Judge Henderson wanted to make sure it was revenue neutral starting out, and so that's exactly what happened. I was there, and Marty was there for that too. Now, but as
that would be the same as
my understanding is, of course, the extension district does have the compensating rate issue.
Yes, they get a computation from the DLG the same way we do.
But unlike the health department.
Right.
But however, when you all established your extension office, however that computation for your general fund compensating rate would be the same if you established this one too, except there's just no change on all the line item for.
Yeah, I absolutely would not be in favor of separating and not decreasing the general fund rate to the level that we're paying out for the health department tax as we are today. Any other question? Well, I made the motion to do so. If the fiscal court is inclined, I would need a second and we would take a vote. All right, if no one's willing to make a second, the motion will die due to a lack of a second. Does anyone have a plan to cover the shortfall if the state makes this increase?
Can't answer that question because we don't know what that rate's going to be.
You're absolutely right. We do not know what it's going to be.
I've heard that it's going to be left the same for next year.
And if so, then we're still
But I can't answer that question.
All right, we'll move along. Moving on to financial business, you had an opportunity to review the budget transfers. We would need a motion and a second to approve those transfers.
So moved.
Motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Nate.
Tommy Chandler. Nathaniel Daniels.
Yes.
Scott Poston. Mark Turner.
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. Next, gentlemen, is bills and claims. If you had an opportunity to review them, we would also need to add in, you've seen in front of you a sheet, an $80 claim to Ferguson that is not in the list on the portal. So I need a motion and a second to approve the bills and claims to include this $80 claim to Ferguson.
Do you need to put an account code on this?
It'll just be the bill maintenance out of the jail. So
Okay.
that'll be
All
03,
right. I mean, it's not that much, I just didn't know if we needed it.
Yeah, I just brought it in this morning.
Okay, no problem.
We just didn't have time to get it added to the portal.
All right.
So moved.
Motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Nate.
Marty Vernon.
Yes.
Nathaniel Daniels.
Yes.
Marty Chandler.
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. Moving on to reports, I don't know of anything that I have specifically. Marty, you have anything?
No.
Nate?
No.
Scott?
No, sir.
Byron?
No, sir.
Counselor?
Just when you asked for you've already listed that we have an executive session scheduled. I'd also like to add on a topic, not only just the real estate, but also proposed pending litigation.
We're gonna add it for everything, litigation, personnel, land acquisition, we're gonna take it all in today.
Fair enough.
How you Tuesday?
Yeah, we're gonna cover it all. Sheriff, I'll start with you, because I know you've got a few things to talk about.
Just one thing, we've got a 2019 Dodge Charger that's been totaled out. I've talked to the insurance company. CAECO has a neat program. If the vehicle is within a year of age, which this one is, they'll replace it and replace the equipment just as is. What I'm asking fiscal court for, and there's a time rush I can get into, but it'll take a while to explain. If you want to hear it, that's fine. But what I'm asking is when the insurance check comes in, that I go ahead and get approval from y'all to have it come back to my line item to purchase another vehicle. If you want to hear the lengthy version, I'll give it to you, but that's not costing you anything. It's the insurance check comes, y'all are already saying to Nicole, put that in his line item so he can purchase another vehicle.
You're buying this off state contract?
Yes.
Have you already ordered it?
I have not ordered it. Here's the deal, we're gonna get into the lengthy conversation. Dodge Chargers are the only police car you can still purchase. They have decided the 2020 model, which this would be, they're gonna retool for 2021. So they basically stopped production of the car. You can't hardly get them. I've got a guy right now that's got a few that he had ordered before they made that decision. And I've got to give him the, yes, I'm taking one of those. If not, it's gone and we won't get approved. So that's the time rush. I have not ordered it. He's got my name on the list. He's needing to hear back from me. And to hear back from me, I need to know y'all are gonna say, yeah, take that line, that check that comes in from CAECO. I've already talked to the girl from CAECO. It'll be a few weeks because this vehicle, without going into executive session, their state police is reconstructing the accident. It's going to be a week or 2 weeks before they get the accident report done. It's basically what's going on with that. So Any other questions I can answer? I mean,
So you need a motion from us today to authorize you to.
yes, I can't play a guessing game for months down the road.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying?
Well, you just need a motion to allow the insurance money to cover the cost of this new
Yes.
purchase.
The check will come to fiscal court,
And then we need to put it back over.
and I want it to come to my line items. So what I'm asking y'all is the insurance settlement from this 2019 Dodge Charger that was just wrecked, that when the insurance settlement comes in, that Nicole has the freedom to move it back to my line item without us waiting for 3 weeks,
Yeah,
getting the check in, and
then
then
having to have a court meeting to do.
either calling a special called meeting so I could hurry this thing up.
When are you expecting that in?
The car won't be, I'm just trying to order it.
Oh,
It may be 6 months before the car gets here. It hadn't been made, it's not sitting on the lot. But
Are you gonna be ready to order in the next 2 weeks, like before the next court meeting? Because I don't know any number figures or anything as far as making that transfer. I mean, we could add it on to the transfers we have now. I can go ahead and revise those.
yes, I'd like to order it.
But I just need to know money figures. 'Cause
I can give you the money figure. It's gonna be 33 to 34,000. And Keiko, like I said, I've already talked to the rep up there. If it's within a year, they pay the cost of what that vehicle was and the emergency equipment, which is another 7,000 to 8,000 of it. So basically, it's a wash, but I've gotta be able to tell the guy, yes, I want that vehicle. It'll be, my guess, I know we ain't getting it in the next 2 or 3 months. It may be 6 months before we get it. They still gotta make the car and everything else.
I guess my question would be, could we do the motion today to allow the check, but we don't have, Nicole was saying she don't have any exact figures, so as long as you have it.
I can get the exact, all I gotta do is get a bid from him, and it's gonna be about the same as
She
the
needs to
other car.
know the exact from the insurance too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know those figures.
She would need to know the exact figure from the insurance check, is what she's saying.
And that's gonna be weeks before they know. Outside of what the girl has told me is, they replaced the car with a new one.
Could I make a motion to say that when the insurance check comes in, you can be moved to your line item, but we can't do any transfers or anything until Nicole has an exact figure? Could we do something like?
Yes, or what, one that might even be better, let's try this, in the sake, it won't be this much. Let's say you're authorizing me $35,000, and y'all are gonna keep the insurance check. It won't be 35, it may be 33, 33.5. But they're gonna pay us whatever Dodge says the car is, and whatever the emergency equipment is, that's what they're saying they're gonna pay.
I totally agree.
Yeah, well, I think what we
I just
could
need to know
do,
what kind of
I think
motion to
what we
make.
could do to make
Yeah,
this simple.
I'm with you on it.
To make this as simple as we could be and expedite it, I think what we could do is to make a motion to authorize the transfer of the insurance check once it arrives, and to authorize the sheriff to make a purchase up to $35,000, and we'll just do a budget transfer up to the amount of the car up to $35,000.
Will that work for your records?
I mean, as long as Simmons could, I didn't know if we could make a motion that, court authorizes whatever that insurance check comes in, that's the money that's transferred.
I think the simplest thing to do
There we go, Counselor.
is just to say, whenever the insurance check comes in, whatever it is, comes to fiscal court, and that month, whatever that check is, doesn't pass go, doesn't collect $200, goes to his budget, that line item. And then that way, I think that gives you security enough to call the guy up and say, Billy Bob or whatever his name is, and say, I want one of those last Chargers.
I'm good with that, but I think here's the problem that I think Nicole has, and chime in if I'm not right. Right now, there's not money in my account for me to order that, and when I order it, she has to put down, it's been ordered and this money will be spent. It's not in my account. So for me to tell him you, I can behind the scenes go, yes, but that's not what y'all want, and that's not the right thing. That's why I'm standing up here this morning. I need the yes, tell him you want the car. We know the money's coming, whatever you guys think is best.
I mean, if you're gonna order it like this afternoon, then, we've gotta make that transfer of whatever amount you think it is, and because we have to have the money in the line item in order to issue a purchase order.
Can we transfer out personnel into the vehicles and then go from vehicles back to personnel when that amount comes in? So could I make a motion that we transfer 35,000 out of personnel into his vehicle line? And then when the insurance check come in, we'll take the insurance check plus whatever the difference was to make up the 35,000, put it back into personnel.
And I agree with, that's a good idea. I just want to say I agree because it's coming out of personnel. I don't want to panic in my personnel.
Well, no.
No, I'm with you. But it is. We've got time because there'll be a settlement within the month.
If we were in,
So we're good.
if we were in June, I wouldn't have made the motion because they could have put you short on your personnel, but
So I'm good
we're
with
6
that.
months away, so I think we could do that. So I'll put that in the form of a motion.
All right, Pam, did you get all of that?
Yes.
Okay.
It's clear as mud.
My compliments.
Yeah, yeah,
Well done.
all right.
Second.
Second by Nate.
Brian Chandler,
Yes.
Daniel Downey,
Yes.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Myron Herman,
Yes.
Jason Barnes.
Yes.
That's all I had, sir.
Thank you, Sheriff. Jailer, are you still with us?
I'm back here, sir.
You have anything you need to share with us? All right. Carter, anything from planning and zoning? Chief, you have anything?
Just that they on fire truck. Yeah, just real quick update on the fire truck. We will be, Nelson's going out to do the final inspection, mid-December, I think 14, or 15, 16, somewhere in there. We actually have to fly out and, go do the final inspection. Then we'll be getting, delivery on it. Right now, barring any kind of, major changes, it'll be like the 21st, we're expecting it, so. That's it.
All right, thank you. Bill, you have anything with maintenance? Bobby, anything else? All right, if there's no other business, I will, Bob, I'm sorry, I don't have anything. Okay. Sorry. All right. All right. If there is no other business, I need to have a motion and a second to enter into executive session for the deliberations on the future acquisition or sale of real property, the discussion of proposed or pending litigation against or on behalf of the public agency, and discussions which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual employee according to KRS 61.810.
Motion moved.
Motion by Nate.
Second.
Second by Myron. We'll take a 5-minute recess before.
All in favor?
Yes. I'm sorry.